So if Matthew Stafford retired today, do you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, 100%.
All
100%.
right.
Not even a question. I am Garrett.
I am Brandon.
We are here to talk about GOATs.
So we're going to talk about, discuss, debate the greatest of all time.
Barry Sanders.
Including Tomlinson. You're listening to the Goat Herders podcast, where we herd the greatest of all time. Well, welcome back to the Goat Herders podcast. I'm Brandon.
And this is Garrett.
We are great to be back. How's it been going, Garrett? I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been great. I mean, we've had some good football going on. I see you got a nice little was it LT shirt going there? Look at that.
Better and better and better.
Greatest all time. Oh my
all
gosh.
Time.
No.
LT. Greatest.
I think that we should bring out that Sports Center magazine that you showed me the other day and see where he falls in the list of greatest of all time.
So he's referencing a Sports Illustrated from 2012. And just like a fine wine and great cheese, it gets better with age. And I am sure Tomlinson would be much higher on that list if that was reported on today. So Tomlinson was ranked 10th out of running backs by fans, not by expert, by fans. And Barry Sanders was number 1.
But who are the experts but the people that love the game and watch it?
I don't know. I
did feel like he was a little low. I will give him that. I did feel he was a little low. 10th was a little rough, but that is what it is.
If you compare him to the rest of the people who played during his time, he's the greatest of all time. He was in a pass-happy league. He wasn't going to get as many rushing yards.
Yeah.
Speaking of a pass-happy league, our topic for today is a hot topic that a lot of people have been talking about lately, and it is Matthew Stafford. He's coming off his first Super Bowl win, and we're wondering, will Stafford make the Hall of Fame? Aren't we all wondering that, Garrett?
I mean, I don't think there's much to wonder, but we'll debate this, I guess, for a little bit here.
So we're going to go over the bull and the bear case for Matthew Stafford going into the Hall of Fame. And so, Garrett, I think we should start with the bull case. Why do we think Matthew Stafford could be in the Hall of Fame someday?
I mean, he's got a Super Bowl, which tops at least half the players that have made the Hall of Fame. Not exactly facts there, but a lot of the people that you look at do not have a Super Bowl to their name. Dan Marino, one of the all-time most record holders of passing up until quite recently, does not have a Super Bowl. Phillip Rivers, I'm sure he will very arguably probably be in the Hall of Fame soon. Another great quarterback that does not have a Super Bowl to his name. And I think that Stafford, after being with a team that unfortunately held him back for many years to the beginning of his career.
And what team would that be?
That would unfortunately be the Lions. a team that has gone through the greatest of all time running back, arguably top 5 greatest of all time wide receiver. And now we're talking about a quarterback who's definitely up there. I'm not going to put him on a level with Brady or anything like that yet, but he I think has made a name for himself that he can be in the Hall of Fame. Some stats that I pulled, continuing to compare him with some other greats, in that this being his first Super Bowl win, and it was in the first year with a new team. I went and looked at other quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl in the first year starting with their team, and 2 greats that have done that. Tom Brady, his first year starting with the Patriots, he won the Super Bowl, and then also another Rams quarterback, Kurt Warner, in his first year starting, also won the Super Bowl with them. That was his only Super Bowl, though, as well. If you remember that game, that is the first Super Bowl I remember watching in '99, and that was the longest yard Super Bowl where the Titans came up that yard short, and oh my goodness, that was. I just remember being like, but he reached it over before I even understood like the knee is down rule kind of thing. Like me being a little 7-year-old. But Those are two greats that have won Super Bowls in their first year. Other notables that only have one Super Bowl to their name: Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, and this one has an asterisk next to it, but Steve Young only had one Super Bowl as a starter. I believe that he was the backup to Montana when Montana had his. So he has 3 rings, but one as a starter. So that's
you missed an all important one there. Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I don't. Not a Flacco fan. Not someone that I would put on that list there.
Hey, he's in the top 20 in passing yards, and he has a Super Bowl ring. Flacco for the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame?
No. He won the Super Bowl on his defense. The Ravens, Ray Lewis, that team, they won that on defense. Not going to make a case for Flacco. Sorry. Then just stats. Looking at stats for Matthew Stafford, he had the 3rd most yards before 30 years old. And the other 2 were Manning and Marino, who had 33,000 and 31,000 respectively. Matthew Stafford was the fastest quarterback to reach 300 or 30,000 yards since the merger in 1970. He did it in 109 games. He has the most fourth quarter comebacks since 2009, and that's saying something to be on a team like the Lions for the majority of that time and being able to pull out those wins. If he had any kind of decent team, A, he probably wouldn't have had to make those comebacks, and B, I feel like there was another 10-15 where he made that comeback drive, and then the defense went and blew it in the last 3 seconds. And
like the Green Bay Packers Hail Mary game.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. But yeah, he was just he's the king of comebacks. He is 5th all time on fourth quarter comebacks, behind Brady, Roethlisberger. I didn't write these names down. I thought I could be able to come up with the top of my head. Brady, Roethlisberger, Breeze, huh?
Favre.
I don't remember if Favre. It was Brady, Roethlisberger, Breeze. I have the tab open. But he had, and then again this year, he had 2 in the postseason, and then a 3rd winning drive. It wasn't considered a comeback. I don't know how they track that stat exactly, but he had 2 comebacks this postseason and then a winning drive. And let's see what else we got. He holds every single quarterback record for the Lions, every single passing
Name
stat.
One other Lions quarterback not named Stafford.
Charlie Batch. Gus Ferrara. I don't even know how to say his last name. Yeah, I understand.
Point made.
Quarterbacks. But that's the thing. Name another quarterback that holds every single record for their team and is not considered for the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of Bengals quarterbacks like that.
There are actually. There were a couple. When I was looking through quarterbacks without Super Bowls, there were 3 quarterbacks from the Bengals that were on there. I apparently don't have the tab still open, so I can't look that up right now. My favorite stat about him is that he now holds, after this season, the top 2 most receiving yards in a season. In Calvin Johnson in 2011 set the record for most yards all in a season, 1946 yards. And then with one more game with Cooper Kupp this year, they came up 17 yards shy of that. I may have that number roughly wrong. I don't remember exactly what it was, but Cooper Kupp. So Stafford holds the two receivers, throwing to the 2 receivers that are the top most all in a season, all receiving yards in a season, in Johnson and Kupp. Then Johnson is also, I think, 13th on that list too in the year previous. So he's got 3 of the top 20 most receiving yards in a season. Granted, he's throwing to Calvin Johnson, and they had no one else on their team at that time. So take that as what it is. But I mean, that's still a feat that is not accomplished by many. A couple other notables on there. Antonio Brown did it with Ben Roethlisberger twice. He's on there 2 times in the top 20. Marvin Harrison did it twice with Peyton Manning. He's twice in the top 20. But those were the same receiver that they were doing that with. Matthew Stafford in one season with Kupp was able to have chemistry with him and throw for second most receiving yards in a season.
Are you ready for the Bears yet?
No, probably. I think I ran out of things on my note
run
cards
them
here.
off. 15 minutes of bowl, and then no one will stay for the Bear, and Garrett will win.
Exactly.
So I'm going to start.
Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
I'm going to start with a real quick rebuttal to the Cooper Kupp, Calvin Johnson point. You could make a very strong argument that he just happened to be playing with two of the greatest receivers, and they brought up his stats, and has nothing to do with Matthew Stafford being the common link between the two, because Calvin Johnson is a beast and Cooper Kupp was a beast before Stafford came.
Yeah, but Kupp wasn't out. He wasn't in the top 20 of receiving yards in a season before that.
All right. Point made. Did you have a final point?
And Calvin Johnson doesn't have any catalyst. Johnson doesn't have a catalyst to compare to because he only ever had Stafford throw to him.
So here's a kind of a wrap-up question for you. So if Matthew Stafford retired today, theoretically, or he got hurt in the offseason and never played another game, do you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Right. Not even a question.
So I'm gonna start with my bear case with a very impressive list of players. Let me pull that up. So what I'm going to look at is the top quarterbacks of Stafford's time. So Garrett used a lot of stats related to historical stats, which I think is a bad measure of these stats because Stafford has played in a very pass-happy time. So I want you to answer this question. Is Stafford one of the top 5 quarterbacks of his time? Is he better than Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Ryan, Eli Manning? Those are all the names ahead of Matthew Stafford, who are all contemporaries of Matthew Stafford.
I mean, I'd put him right in the middle of that pack. I'm going to give him. Do you have this list viewable for me or no?
So this is the touchdown pass leaders. And then let me go to passing yards because he's a little bit higher on that, I think. No, he's the same. Yards? He's the same.
Passing yards?
Yep. Same list, just one different order. Aaron Rodgers is slightly lower.
Yeah.
So that's probably my strongest bear argument is within his contemporaries, which is probably a better argument than Dan Marino. It's just a different time of the sport. Among his contemporaries, he's not even in the top 7 of quarterbacks, which and you look at contemporaries, you got Rivers has got 5 years on him. Matt Ryan is very comparable to him because he was 1 year before. I think that he is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has 10,000 more yards in one more season. I don't know what the touchdown numbers look like. That's an impressive season.
Well, it's not just one season, but look who he was throwing to. Look at the team he was playing for. He was playing for a winning team, a winning coach, a great program. And you've got Matthew Stafford, who was like holding on to the back of the rope, playing for the Lions and doing the best that he could, with a team that was just sinking. When he first started, they went 2-8 in the first year. I think that he started under his record was 2-8. He had 4 winning seasons with a team that did not have a team to have a winning season. I mean, 2 of them were 9-7s, but he had a 10-6 and an 11-5 season with the Lions, who have been the butt of all jokes forever. And Matt Ryan has been playing for a team that has had the receiving crew, has had the defense, has had a running back that has been able to perform for him. Who was the last running back that could perform for the Lions before DeAndre Swift that could counter his passing game? You're not going to come up with one until Barry Sanders.
Kevin Jones.
Who?
Kevin Jones.
Nah.
Javid Best.
Mediocre. Yeah, Javid Best. Hilarious. Yeah, like he made it in the year.
Joik Bell.
Joik Bell, yeah. See all these names that like they were okay. They were
So
not a running
is
back.
this the
They were
bear
not a
case or
Devontae
is this the
Freeman.
bull case? All right, I'm gonna throw another one out to rile
All
you
right.
up. All right.
All right.
So how many MVP votes has Stafford gotten in his career? Take a guess.
0.
0. Not a single one. You want to know one other Super Bowl winner who has also received 0 MVP votes? Who's in the
First
top
season, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Joe Flacco.
Oh. That's because Joe Flacco was not a good quarterback. He had a great defense. The Lions not have a defense. Yes, the Rams had a great defense, but Stafford still performed. He was still like, where's Flacco on your list of amazing things? He is the same year as Matt Ryan, 1 year before Stafford, and he is 8,000 yards shorter than that Stafford. So as much as Ryan is better than Stafford, Stafford is better than Flacco.
I'm not arguing
I think
that.
it'll take.
I'm just putting him in a context of here's another player who is not considered one of the greatest of his time, and that's more in line with what Stafford's like stats. And another point would be, not only does he not have an MVP vote, he has never been on an all-pro team. He's been to the Pro Bowl once.
Right. Yeah.
But he's never been
that.
denoted for the all-pro team. Which again,
Right.
if we are looking at the context of his time, he's not even considered one of the best of his time by anybody at all.
Right.
So this is sort of a bear case, but it also maybe connects to your point a little bit closer. My next point I wanted to bring up is, and I very purposely asked that question, if Stafford never played a game again, should he be in the Hall of Fame? And I have a resounding no. However, if we give him 5 more years, which puts him at about 38, I believe, 5 more years of 4,000 yards, which in this type of passing environment is totally reasonable. Where does that put Flacco, or not Flacco, Stafford? That puts Stafford at 70,000 yards, which puts him in the top 5.
Yep, puts him 5th all time.
Okay, that puts him above Rivers, puts him above Roethlisberger, most likely puts him above Matt Ryan, and depending on how Rodgers played, how long he plays, might even put him above Aaron Rodgers. So that is a very strong answer, or a strong reason why I think he very well could make the Hall of Fame, but he has work to do. He has not quite put himself over that level. So winning the Super Bowl, in my opinion, puts him in a place where he wouldn't need to win another Super Bowl. But if he puts 4 or 5 great seasons together, he's going to have the stat line that actually makes him look with his contemporaries within the elite group, rather than being this like sort of kind of on the brink of, you know, he was pretty good for his time, but he was never overwhelmingly amazing. He was never considered overwhelmingly amazing among the experts of his time. I think that would really solidify that case. That's one of my big points. Can he get 5 more years? And I think probably. He's not a mobile quarterback, so he's pretty tough, and he seems like he wants to keep playing.
Yeah.
And I think another interesting thing, we'll see this with Stafford in 4 years, is will Phillip Rivers be considered for the Hall of Fame? Because there's some very legitimate reasons to say maybe not. And, you know, I'm coming from I'm a huge Phillip Rivers fan. He's one of my top 3 favorite quarterbacks of all time. And yet, as a number 6 passing leader with no Super Bowls and not even in the top 5 of his contemporaries, has Phillip Rivers really done enough? And if the Hall of Fame, the people who have the votes for that say yes to Phillip Rivers, we can see a very, very easy chance that Matthew Stafford's in. If they snub Phillip Rivers for 5 to 10 years, we might never see Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame. And I think that'll be very telling. So you could say the same thing for Matt Ryan. Will Matt Ryan get snubbed for 5 some years after he gets out? Very likely, but his stats are right up there with what Rivers will be when he retires. Probably even better. That's my bear case. What do you think?
I
Give
think it's
a
a fair
rebuttal
point.
to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think it's a fair point to what you're saying, that after this year it's tough to look at. I think I have the bias as a Lion fan to appreciate more what he's done for what he did for that team and why his stats look the way he does. But I think what he accomplished with that team was leaps and bounds above what any other contemporary would have done with them, outside of maybe a Tom Brady or Drew Brees. Like, those are the only two that I look at and I say wherever they went, they were going to succeed. They were going to do great things just because that's who they were.
I'll add one
And
more.
that could be
Peyton Manning.
Well, oh yeah, and Peyton Manning. I mean, he proved that going to Denver too and winning a Super Bowl there. And I think that you can speculate as much as you want to and say as much as you want to, but I think that what Stafford did for a losing team and a team that just is not known for success, and he still put up numbers like this and succeeded, and then went to an actual decent team and won a Super Bowl in the first year with them. I think that's leaps and bounds. We could get into how much the Rams blew on buying the Super Bowl, but I still think that Stafford is worthy of getting it.
Hey, but
I
in
don't know that he'll
five
be a first
years,
ballot.
5 years when the Lions are really good, you have the Rams to thank them.
Yeah, 100%. Like I still, even though I think both teams won in this. The Rams got their Super Bowl win, which is what they were selling out for, and I think the Lions have the tools now that they need to build and become the better team. I loved the way they played this year. They only had 3 wins. They had 3 wins and a tie, and the tie was a little heartbreaking, but that's just how being a Lions fan goes. But all the things that I saw this year, I saw players that wanted to play for a coach. I saw a team that is growing instead of a team that's like, they're going to lose this game, even though they're up by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, just because of how the players played. It's just, you could see that they didn't care, and they weren't playing for a coach that cared. They weren't playing for management that cared. And with the overhaul that they've done, if Stafford could come back and play for this team, if Johnson could come back and play for this team, they're just as good as the Rams. Like, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're winning. They're one of the best teams of all time. And I'm sad that can't happen just because that's real life. But I would love to see that. I would love to see Stafford and Johnson and Sanders playing for a team that wanted to win and that had the right tools, just because they were such great players, and I loved watching them play.
Johnson is still young. He could come back.
Yes, yeah, he could.
Andrew Luck could be the backup quarterback.
He'd probably start over Goff, unfortunately.
Wouldn't it be great to just have, like, this is so off topic, but who cares? Just build a team of all these players that like retired too early and just have that to be a team. That'd be some pretty impressive team.
Oh, speaking of retiring too early, I thought it was hilarious in that article that we referenced earlier.
Yeah.
The Emmett Smith quote. Hold on, I want to see what it was. I have it in here. Oh, give me 1 second. This was in reference to Emmett Smith being where he was at on this list. He was ranked 4th. Barry Sanders was ranked 1st.
Yeah.
And Jim Brown was there. So when Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Jim Brown. And the comment under Brown was Brown or Sanders, depending which style you like, running over someone or running around someone in a circle like a video game. And then the comment for Emmett Smith as the number 4 is, if Brown or Sanders doesn't quit in his prime, Emmett is looking up at both of them. In that Jim Brown and Barry Sanders were just leaps and bounds above what Emmett Smith was. Emmett Smith just played until he got the record. He wasn't a bad running back, but he was not the record holding running back. Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, like those guys all.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
LaDainian Tomlinson. He could get running touchdowns just because they'd get to the 1 yard line and give him the ball, but
it's hard to argue with greatness.
Dude, it's hard to break that record even in a video game. Like, I've been playing through, and Brandon knows this, but I've been playing through a Madden season and just jumping through different teams, and I'm currently with the Eagles, and Miles Sanders, he missed 2 games. So if he had played those 2 games, he would have easily broke it. But I ended up coming up 2 touchdowns short of his all-time. I broke his rushing touchdown record, but with his 32 touchdowns, counting his receiving touchdowns, I wasn't able to break that because it was, and that's even like, that's trying in a video game. Like that's how crazy that record is.
I have said this is a whole nother video, but I've said this again and again, that is a record that I don't believe will ever be broken. And in the modern football landscape, it's just not the way they play anymore, but we'll see.
And we can save that for our next one. We can maybe talk about that one next time.
So I think the good wrap up here is, obviously we have a little bit different opinions on Stafford. It seems like you are like, yep, I really do think he could be in. And I'm like, you know what, let's see a little bit more. And
I think that you have more the worldly view, and I have more the biased Lions view. So I think that I would agree with you, but still stand on my point.
I will say that with his most recent victory, that means a lot to me, because it's kind of the Peyton Manning effect. Peyton Manning leaves the Colts, though he has struggled to win with the Colts, but he leaves the Colts and he goes to a new team and they win. So he went from, the Rams weren't a bad team the year before. But it was kind of that thing that put them over the edge. So it is a very significant thing that he went to that team. If he would have lost, that really would have hurt his cases, especially if he wasn't able to win the Super Bowl in the first 3 years. But the fact that it took 1 year and he was able to do it and pull it off, I'm very happy for him. I think that gives you a strong sense of that bull case for why Stafford should be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm definitely not a no, never, but not yet kind of point.
I think that's fair. My bias as a Lions fan feels like, yeah, he deserves it right now. But I could probably get on the wagon with Brandon here and saying that he's got a great firm ground beneath his feet. He can keep going forward and prove his point in the next 5 years, like you said, and he'll be there. What
I want to see is one MVP campaign. He doesn't have to win it, but he needs to be considered like, this is the guy. He's the one. He pulled this team up from not being great, which it could very well happen with the Rams. The Rams defense is not going to be as strong in the next couple of years. They're pretty old. If Aaron Donald retires, like, they're going to need some help from Stafford, and I think that will solidify his case if he can really put up those 40 touchdown, 4,000 yard plus seasons.
Yep. All right.
I think that's a good wrap on the show. It was so great to see you again, back in the Goat Herders podcast. It's been a long time, but hey, we're back and better than ever.
Oh yeah.
This is the Goat Herders podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Garrett.